Jenny Anderson's workshop. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. So this is my January 2024 reading wrap-up. I was able to read 11 books this month. Not everything that I wanted to plan. What did I plan on? 17 books as usual. I always set myself up for very high expectations. And then it just never comes to fruition. But it's okay. It's okay. Copacetic, man. Just copacetic. In any case, let's just get into it. 11 books, let's see. The first book I read of the month was Face the Night. If this was a carryover, I started it late December. It was my 30-page-a-day read, and I finished it in early January. It was a very emotional read for me, honestly, because the author did pass away. She wrote this book while she was battling cancer. So just knowing that, just the title, the way the story progressed, it was really emotional. And it was a really cool book, too. It was a Western fantasy. I don't really... That's not really my thing. I love fantasy, but Western, I loved the Western vibes here. I really did. I think they were really well done. I loved the characterization, the character dynamics. It was a dual POV novel, and I liked the world building. It felt... It was a really good book, honestly. What a great way to start off the year. After that, I read The Jump, so this was the book. It was a gift for me. It was a gift to me from the publisher. It's not something I would typically read. It's kind of contemporary fiction. It deals with 4 teenagers. They're a scavenger hunt team. And you've got the parkour artist. You've got the one who's good with puzzles. You've got the hacker. It was really well done. It was also very diverse. You have LGBTQ rep, you have colored rep, you have mental illness rep, you also have transgender rep. I mean, it was incredibly diverse as far as the cast. You've got a Muslim, African American, and an Asian in the mix here. So it really was diverse. So if you're looking for a more diverse read, this is definitely going to be a top tier diverse read. It was very fast paced. I will say that the ending seemed really outlandish. I'm like, how did we get to this point in this book? But it was still really fun. Again, not something I would normally pick up for myself, but if a publisher is going to offer me a book, I'm not going to say no to a free book. So it was good. It was good, and I like puzzles myself, so I like being able to kind of solve the puzzles with the team in the book. After that, I read Their Vicious Games, and oh my god, this book was wild, absolutely wild. God, you have your main character, Adina, and she kind of lost everything because she got into a fight with a girl at school, so she lost her chance at college, at least at an Ivy League. So she enters the Finish, which is hosted every year by the Remington family. She's hoping she can win this competition. She doesn't know anything about this competition, other than the fact that she wants to win so that she can get the Remingtons' power and prestige and money behind her, because they can make anything happen. She gets way more than she bargained for. You ever seen the movie Ready or Not? This book is basically like that movie. Oh my god. Every single plot twist in this book, I was just like, oh my god. The Gracier by Liggett and Ready or Not, I would say this is a combination of the both of those. This competition's deadly. It's deadly, it's brutal, it's just, it was jaw-dropping. I really don't want to ruin things for you, because I really think you should read it. Because if I ruin things for you, there are going to be less jaw-dropping moments. And I don't want that for you. I want you to experience what I experienced when I read that book. Big Little Spells. This is a book, if you go to the bookstore, the publisher categorizes it as romance. I don't really feel like, yes, it has romance in it. But for me, it doesn't take away from the plot. It's more like fiction with a romance side story to it, and it follows Rebecca. It takes place right after the events of Small Town Big Magic. So right after, but now it's following the second sister, Rebecca. She's been swept back into town. It's just like, you didn't follow the rules of your exile by you use magic. And it's just like, look, we had magic this entire time, but we just saved this entire town. Why are you guys punishing us? It's like, okay, fine. We'll give you one last chance to prove you're worthy of your magic, right? So it's a whole humiliating thing. It's lots of found family vibes, sister vibes. You know, she's reconnecting with her sister who had her memory wiped for the longest time. She's reconnecting with her friends. She's also reconnecting with one immortal Nicholas Frost, who is a witch. And oh my god, if you love Grumpy Sunshine trope, this is definitely going to be the book for you. He is just so dashing and just like, I could feel his, I'm not even one for romance, but I could feel his smoldering gaze through, like, off of the pages. I was like, oh, wow. Whew. You're making me kind of hot. I mean, he was dashing. I do love a good angsty character. I mean, my husband's not an angsty person, but in fiction, Cloud. Just think Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy VII. Super angsty. I love my broody, angsty guys. I really do. It's like my thing. In any case, a really good book. I can't wait to read the next one. And I like that the romance didn't take away from the development of the story and didn't take away from that character development. It didn't take away from that found family trope, because I love that found family trope. It's one of my favorite tropes. After that, I read Momo, Arashima Steals the Sword of the Wind. Again, this is another ARC that had been on my pile for ages. It was a really good book. It's a kid's book. First of all, those chapter titles are hilarious. They really do speak to the audience, because the audience is young readers, you know, like tweens. One of the chapters is a perfect example. Really? She's the daughter of a goddess? That's the chapter heading. And I'm just like, I'm so here for this. Those chapter headings were top tier. I loved them so much. I really do think they captured the essence of the characters as well as the tone of the story. It is for young readers. And I like the core of the story, which is about, you know, Danny and Nico and Momo. Really, they all just kind of want to fit in, you know? And it's really the question of, is fitting in worth sacrificing parts of yourself? You know, is it really worth it to fake it till you make it, as Danny likes to say, because that's what his dad teaches him. And it's not like his parents are like bad parents, but it's just like, is it worth it? Are these people really your friends if they don't really know who you really are and accept you for who you really are? You know, I think these are a lot of things that young kids, I know I definitely struggled with that as a kid. I think it's one of those things that any young kid who's kind of struggling with fitting in or with their self-confidence, I think this is definitely going to be the book for them, because it's kind of teaching you like, well, no, you know, your friends should like you for who you are, not who you pretend to be. So it was a really good, quick story. I loved it. Can't wait to read the second one. I read Throwback after that. This book was good. It was good. I liked it more than I thought I was going to. It's very much Back to the Future vibes. And it follows Samantha, and she gets into a fight with her mom, and then she gets, you know, she takes a ride share, she gets a ride share and it travels her back in time to the 90s. Oh my god, I'm a 90s baby and I loved it. I loved all the 90s nostalgia. I was just like, oh yeah, yep, that's a thing. It was such a fun read, and it's really about her forming a relationship with her mom. So she's in high school with her mom, Priscilla, who is, the daughter of an immigrant, and she's just trying to fit in at school, with the cool kids. And then you see that not everything is just like black or white, not anything is just cut and dry. Samantha really does form a relationship with her mom, and they really do form an understanding. She starts to understand her mother better. And I think it's really good when stories do that, because the whole parent-child dynamic is always going to be complicated. Times change. And the mother-daughter dynamic is, I know I have a complicated relationship with my mom. We used to be like the best friends, and then somewhere down the line, I kind of realized some of my mom's behavior was somewhat toxic, and she's not really the easiest person to talk to when you want to talk to her about things like this. So we're just like kind of that traditional Mexican women where we just kind of just don't talk about our feelings. Luckily, I'm trying to change things with my kids, because you see, things change. Things change between parents and kids. And it's a lot of the moments in the book were just like kind of gut punches for me, as someone who has a complicated relationship with her mom, and as someone who is a mom herself. It's just like, it was really emotional, but it was so much fun, and it was just laugh out loud sometimes. And again, I was so here for the 90s nostalgia. I love the 90s nostalgia. Like, yes. Definitely a good one. I read Wish of the Wicked next by Daniel Page. This is the same author who did Dorothy Must Die. And I really do think, okay, so hear me out. I liked the Dorothy Must Die series. I do think the last two books were really lackluster, especially that last one. I felt like it was like a throwaway. Like, she wrote it because she had a contractual obligation to the publisher to deliver 4 books. But I do think the first 2 were really, really good. Page really does have a knack for retellings, and this is a retelling of Cinderella, but not in the way that you would think. It follows the fairy godmother, and honestly, I really love the way Pharaoh developed as a character. I liked some of those flashback scenes. I really do think that they flowed well in the storytelling, and oh my god, that ending. This was a book I didn't want to put down. I was only reading 30 pages a day, and every time I would get to like that mark, I'm like, oh my god, no, I want to keep reading. I love when a book makes me want to keep reading. I'm just like, oh my god, what happens next? What's going to happen next? That was me when I was reading it, and I enjoyed it being in that position where I'm just like, I'm excited to read this book. After that, I read my book club pick, Bring Me Your Midnight by Rachel Griffin. This was really a genre jump, in my opinion, for her, because a lot of her previous books, Wild as the Witch and The Nature of Witches, which is still my favorite book by her, those are more contemporary fantasy. They take place real world, so contemporary urban fantasy, real world, very relatable. This one's a little bit more in that fantasy world. It does have a lot of those real world elements, with the towns and everything, but it felt very, it felt more fantasy. You have the world building here. It didn't feel modern, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So it didn't feel modern. I guess Edwardian age, not Victorian age, but more Edwardian age. And not Victorian. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Edwardian. Edwardian era is how this book kind of just felt to me as I was reading it, just because of how the world building was and the setting was. I think Tana, her full name is Mortana, she's a really complex character. She's so ready to sacrifice her own happiness for her town. But then she meets Wolf, and there's this forbidden love, and he teaches her high magic, which, to her coven is considered dark magic. And it's really not. It's all about how you use it. But she's learning that this is a part of me, that I shouldn't be afraid of it. And when she's with Wolf, she questions, she's like, okay, I don't have to pretend to be anyone with you. I can be myself with you. I don't have to hide or check myself. It's like about her questioning her own happiness, because she's ready to marry the governor's son of the mainlands so that she can form an alliance, so that the people on her island, all the witches, can have better protections from the mainlanders who, are still kind of afraid of the witches. So it's really complicated. Like, does she sacrifice her happiness for the betterment of her entire community, or does she try to find another way? It's really just like, I don't like her mom, to be honest. I love her dad, though, but not her mom. It's just like, okay, we get it, but let's look for alternatives. And there are alternatives. Words, they matter. There are alternatives that her mom and the council, they don't really want to look into, because then that would involve dealing with the old coven and getting involved with high magic, and they don't want to do that, even though they're kind of destroying their own island. That's another thing Griffin does. She keeps that subtext of preservation of nature in the story. Like, I like that, especially, again, Nature of Witch is still my favorite. But it was a good read. It was, that forbidden romance, that enemies to lovers, ooh, that was well done. So if you like those two tropes, definitely for you. And especially if you like witchy reads. I'm always here for witchy reads, as if that's any surprise. Just look at me. A Fragile Enchantment, which was the young adult book club pick for Barnes & Noble. I work for Barnes & Noble. I am the young adult book club host at my local Barnes & Noble, so I read this one. It was sweet. It was wholesome. It wasn't fast-paced. Think Bridgerton vibes, but with magic. It also had a lot of Studio Ghibli vibes as well. It was sweet, it was wholesome, it was kind of warm and fuzzy at the same time. Name is hilarious. Is that how you pronounce her name? Niamh? Niam? I don't know. Someone can correct me. But I loved her. She was so clumsy and klutzy and absent-minded and kind of a workaholic, and I'm just like, I resonated with that. I'm on vacation recording, so yes, I clearly resonate with that. But it was a lot of fun, just to see her and Kit balance each other out, because he was another broody male character, and I'm like, ooh. But they balanced each other. She was like the softness that he needed. She was like the ray of sunshine that he needed, because he was stuck in such a dark place, and he had so much baggage, and it's just like, let me help you take the load off. Like, she offers him friendship first, and I think that's really sweet when you offer someone friendship first. Oh, also, Rosa, I love her so much. As far as side characters go, she is the bomb. Her and Sinclair, I do like them, but Rosa, she was hilarious, and I loved her, and she was just like, you guys were so much color. I want more black. And I'm just like, yes, love you. Connected with my soul right there. After that, I finally got around to reading Lore Olympus Volume 5. You guys know I love Lore Olympus. If you're not new to my channel, you know I love Lore Olympus. I fast pass that every Saturday. But I will say this. When they compile, and this is episodes 103 to 126, it feels different, just to see them compiled together and to see the panels move together, because all the episodes are here now. You're reading all the, instead of me just scrolling panel by panel on my phone, you're seeing it all play out as a really good story. And it's emotional, just to see Hades let go of that toxic relationship, to see Minith kind of start to let go of that toxic relationship, to see the way the story develops as a whole. I love Hera, I love Artemis, although Artemis really needs to start questioning her brother's behavior. Hermes is amazing, and I love him in everything that I've ever read. And just to see that relationship begin to blossom between Persephone and Hades. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. I'm so here for it. It's just, it was so good to see this panel and these stories come together. All right. Last but not least, I read Thornhedge by T. Kingfisher. Super quick read. It's 111 pages. It's like nothing. It's a retelling of Sleeping Beauty, but not in the way, again, not in the way that you would think. It follows Toadling, and Toadling is, as you would imagine, Maleficent. I like Kingfisher's dry humor. This is it's more dry than her previous books, but it's still funny, only because Toadling's just narrative is engaging. It is dry, so if you're looking for something, you know, if dry humor is not really your thing, you're not going to enjoy this book. Let me just say it that way. But I loved Toadling as a character. I thought she was wonderful. I thought her kind of just like, this is my lot in life and I have to deal with it attitude was, she was very content and compliant and just like going with the flow. I really did like her as a character. I really did think she was a lot of fun. And I liked her way of storytelling. I love Kingfisher's storytelling. I think it's engaging. It's short. It's sweet. It's to the point. There's no fluff, but it's still really engaging overall. And there's still a whole lot of like world building and interaction and fantasy in the story. So, that was all 11 books that I read in January. Hope maybe this month I'll read more than 11. We'll see. Right now I'm just kind of banking on 11, but we'll see if that actually happens. I'm on vacation, so who knows. In any case, thank you all for tuning in to this wrap-up video. Please don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with all your book-loving friends. And on that note, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, happy reading.